Hello, my friends. How have you all been? I think we have come for a video podcast after a very, very, very long time. And I have with me someone that I had even last year. If you go to my podcast, You Are Money, and episode number 10, you will find Shruti Tibrewal, who happens to be an intergenerational coach and a trauma expert, right, Shruti?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that episode had how to make 27,000 US dollars in one single month, which is what Shruti achieved last year. And today we bring her to our podcast because we want to discuss some really salient points, really important points around making what we proverbially call big money, right? So this episode is actually called 9 lakh in a single call. 9 lakh rupees is actually 11,000 US dollars. And Shruti will tell you her story of how she made it in a single call. So welcome, Shruti. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Gaurav. Always a pleasure to be here.
Amazing. So before we dive into your marvelous story of how you created that 9 lakh, I mean, I've posted about it on Instagram as well, and in our Facebook community, You Are Money as well. And perhaps also going to write about it in our mail newsletters. But before that, Shruti, what happens is most of the time, whenever we show up, like I show up, you show up, and people have this very pressing question of how do I get clients? Where do I get clients? Let alone a client who pays you 5 lakh, 6 lakh, 8 lakh. But how do I even get a client who pays me like 10,000 rupees, right? So, and I'm assuming that this is from a lot of coaches who have just started their practice. Maybe they're just venturing into their business, trying to figure out, I have those skills. How do I now put myself out there and get clients? And the complaint is always about not getting clients. So what would you have to say about that to all of these new people starting off as coaches?
Okay. So how I look at this question, where do we get clients and how do we get clients? Now, there was a time when I used to look at this as an external question, okay? As if they are out there and I have to go out and look for them. And after a few months, I started looking at it as an inward question and not as an outward question, because to be very honest, you have a phone and you can just get a message from anywhere, like, I read this about you and I want to work with you and I want to explore. So how is very easy technically. You can just get it like a pop-up on your cell phone, and everybody has a cell phone, right? Whoever is working as a coach. So my answer to all of them is you can get it very simply, but the how has to be directed inward, and the work has to be done at the belief level. It's like, do I believe that I can have a client who is going to work with me? Do I value my work? Am I ready to serve from that space? And when we start working it as an inward question, and we start working on the limiting beliefs, that is when we have the space to receive them. And the external how, it just happens.
Yeah.
Like it can just come from anywhere. Like someone who is visiting for some other reason can start talking about your work. So
Mm.
it's not an external question, it has to be an internal inquiry. It is only then it will make sense. Otherwise, we can keep thinking.
That's right. And Shruti, tell me, have you experienced like signing up clients in the most random of places? Because most people think that you can only sign up clients. Probably someone is going to see your post on Instagram or Facebook, then they will DM you, then they will get on a phone call with you, and then you will sign up. So there is this fixed process in people's minds that, oh, this is how, clients actually come to your life. But have you signed up people in other places, like let's say a train station, a flight, maybe a mall, or somewhere random? Like, do you have such experiences? Yeah, for some reason I'm unable to hear you, Shruti. I think the video is stuck. Okay, I think you are back, Shruti.
Yeah, just a second. There was some internet connectivity.
Okay, no
issue.
problem. No problem. Our
Is
audience
it
will get
fine now?
Yeah, absolutely. Our audience will get it. Don't worry about it at all.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Is your internet okay now?
yeah, it's
Okay,
fine.
great. Yeah. So I had my second question for you, Shruti, that has it happened to you that you have signed up clients in places that are random, that are not regular? Because people have this set mindset that, okay, I'm going to show up on Facebook, I'm going to show up on Instagram. And then what is going to happen is people are going to reach out to me through a DM, and then they will get on a phone call with me, and then they will sign me up. They have this fixed, way of getting a client. Like, for example, I have signed up
Yeah,
clients in flights. Sometimes I've signed up clients. I still remember signing up client at the Koh Samui airport, So, so have you had experiences where you have signed
yeah,
up clients just like that without going through what we think should be the route?
yeah, I have, not in the most random of ways, but for example, meeting a friend
Mm,
and just catching up and talking about my work, and it's not even related to them, but they share about it with someone who then reaches out and we start
mm,
having a conversation, and it simply comes out as a new piece of information for me, like, that I got to know about your work from this person, and I was like, okay, like
yeah,
they actually shared it,
yeah,
and it's not something that I'm thinking about.
right.
So things happen without thinking,
Hmm.
only when I'm willing to believe. It's just,
Yeah. Because
that.
when
So
I'm
yeah,
believing that
it
I'm
has
signing up
happened.
clients, yeah, when I believe that
Yeah,
I'm signing up clients, you automatically show up with that energy that, well, I am signing up and they can just be from anywhere in the world, right?
totally, totally,
Yeah.
totally.
So Shruti, I think one of your specialty is that we have noticed even inside ATEPS is consultation calls. You actually have mastered the art of consultation calls. When a client comes to you, you speak to them either over phone, mostly you do it over Zoom, as far as I know.
Mm.
Um, there are people who actually avoid consultation calls and who really want people to sign them up just like that, or they would like constantly DM back and forth and not get on a call. Either they would avoid getting on a call because they don't like calling, or selling through a call, or the expectation is that, why do people just find me and like sign me up? I want you to tell us and to all the coaches and therapists out there, what is the importance of a consultation call / a discovery call, or in plain language, one might even call it a sales call, right? Where you take them through your
Yeah,
process and you tell them why they should buy from you, right?
yeah, yeah. So I have taken a lot of consult calls and I have received a lot of no's as well.
Mm,
And from each no, there was a lesson that was waiting for me to take in. So every time, so first I would like to talk about the space with which you enter the consult call.
mm,
What is the space with which you are sitting? And are you willing to truly serve? Are you thinking about your bank account during that time? Are you
yeah.
thinking about how much this is important for me? And how much am I in the dearth of money right now? So if I'm coming from that space, it's like your client can sense you, your client can smell you, even if you have so much to offer, but you don't remember that during the consult call, you will lose it.
Mm,
And I have lost it so many times despite knowing the value of my work. And I used to go into this abyss, like, why is it happening?
mm,
Why is it not converting? And then the final lesson for me was to completely detach from my money situation
I'm getting the
and
sale and
completely
fixing my money situation. Yeah.
fixing my money situation. So that was one thing which was, coming in between my work and my service.
Yeah.
So that is something that I completely took care of. And I was like, okay, this is separate. My money situation is separate. And my love for my work and the value that I have to
Yeah.
share is completely different.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
you can detach the two, you sit with a different space.
Mm.
And the second is my excitement to go through the process with the client. It's
Mm.
not just about signing up. I
Yeah.
was actually looking forward to that 6 months, 9 years of commitment, and I'm absolutely looking forward to the kind of transformation I will witness.
Mm.
And
Mm.
that process is making me feel excited, and
Yeah.
not the bank account hit,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
this number will come in my
Yeah.
bank and that will give me the hit. So the hit shifted, and I
To
started
seeing
realizing
the
that,
client in their transformed state, that okay, in this 9 months I'm going to witness
yeah,
a very different version of the client, and I'm so excited about it, right?
exactly. And I was kind of in that state when I was doing the consult call. I was totally having the image of the healed version of my client in my
Mhm.
space, and I was loving it. And I almost forgot that this is a sale call. And I remember talking to you about it like a couple of days before,
Yeah. Yeah.
making this offer. And I remember you telling me that, Shruti, you will be able to embody the value if you remain detached to the sale as well.
Mm.
It's not just
Mm.
about remaining detached to the money situation, but you got to remain detached to the sale as well.
Sale
It's
as
like
well.
two people meeting together, connecting, and trying to create a possibility together. And
Yeah.
if that is the space, it will happen. It will happen.
Well, that
It's
tells
like,
us, Shruti, like so many people ask me that how long should be a consultation call? How long should be a discovery call? Like some people do it for 45 minutes, some people might do it 20 minutes, 90 minutes, 60 minutes. And people think that it's some sort of given, like that is a rule. This is how it should be. But you were willing to experiment. And I say experiments always win over set structure, set rules, set norms. And you went for a whooping 2.5 hour consultation call, right? So the client, so basically for the audience, the client that Shruti signed up at 9 lakhs, like she went on a consult call for 2.5 hours because she was immersed in the process, right? So how did that feel, and where did that decision came from, that okay, this is 2.5 hours, if it happens, if it happens, if it doesn't happen, no problem, I will never think about it as a waste of time? Because people say that, oh, how can I get into so many consultation calls, it's a waste of time spending 1 hour with a client. How was that for you, 2.5 hour consultation call?
yeah, it was truly amazing, because so the kind of service I'm bringing for my client, it's a long-term commitment, and I was willing to make them experience the impact that is going to happen if they sign up for this. And that is something that I felt like my client deserves to know it clearly. And even if after that they don't feel like doing it, I will have no regrets, because I showed what is possible at my end. And there were times before that when I was doing shorter consult calls and I was feeling as if I could not bring the value on the table. So I actually removed that from my that caveat from my head,
Mm,
that this should be the duration. I'm keeping it at 2 hours. It can go to 2.5. It can also go to 3 sometimes. Like
yeah.
I also did a call of 2.5 hours where I received a no,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
See,
I was
wow.
very satisfied. I was very satisfied. I was like, I showed this person like a proper version of what is possible.
Yeah.
And now that person, like, he knows the possibility. Now it's up to them and their readiness and divine timing. So I was very satisfied, Gaurav. So I needed
Mm,
my satisfaction more than the number of hours and what is happening,
true, true.
who is
True.
saying yes or no. It has to be
I'm
about
very
you.
curious, Shruti, how did you reach this kind of mindset? Because most people I speak to don't have this kind of mindset. How did you reach this kind of mindset?
So earlier it used to be about effort, Gaurav. Like everything was about kitna effort lagega, how much effort will go behind this, and everything was about effort, effort. Now that effort, when I transformed it and I saw that it's not effort, it's my love for the work, and I surrendered to that love, and it's like, I'm getting the opportunity to work for 2.5 hours and not 1 hour, so it's like a bigger opportunity for me. So I started looking at it not as an effort, and I
Hmm.
started looking at it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm meeting someone right there, I feel it is an opportunity of connecting with someone, whether something happens. So outcome based has now shifted to process based and journey based experience in my head finally. And
Hmm.
earlier it was all about outcome, outcome,
Outcome,
outcome. So
outcome, outcome. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that was sucking my energy, and I was
Energy
not
out.
even feeling like doing the work. So now I realized that okay, I love this work and it's good to do it for more hours. What's the problem?
What's the problem?
you
Yeah,
know
because you enjoy it. So, and that is the reason why, during that time, because you are also allowing your nervous system to expand during the time when you were working with the client, because you had an awareness that no, 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 like 60 minutes are over now, I need to close it. So you were not at the tight spot, but you were in that open spot. And so I really want to ask you, Shruti, that I get all these questions that recently I posted on Instagram about charging a certain amount of money in coaching. And then, like, I jotted down a model of how to charge 5,000 US dollars from 20 clients in a year, and that makes you $100,000. And immediately I got started getting comments is like, I wonder where will I get those clients from? I wonder, who is going to pay that kind of money? I wonder where should I make my post? All these things, like people start thinking about the ways and rational logic of how to make that happen. And to conceive that a single client will pay 9 lakh is not only not in their awareness, but it's not even a seed in their nervous system. What kind of work might have gone to create that kind of space in your nervous system to even believe that I can quote 9 lakh to this client for a package and they will agree? Like, I want to know your
yeah,
brain, and I want people to know your brain.
yeah, yeah. So a lot of the first thing that comes to me is a lot of grieving
Mm-hmm.
hap went behind it. And when I say grieving, it is grieving of the old ways in which I was operating. And every time I want to believe in something new, I have to grieve the old method that I have been following in my life. Like I told you that, my first per annum salary when I was in the corporate, and this is back in 2014, that was 6 lakhs per annum. And when I got that
Like in a year.
40,000 per month, yeah, and
Yeah.
when I got that credit in my account, I was jumping in joy. So that was my mindset and the capacity of my nervous system back in 2014, right? So I had to grieve those methods, like like you have to work hard to get money, you have to constantly be you have to show number of hours, as if it's all about quantity. So everything that I learned about money does not grow on trees. And
You
it
can't have so
has
much
to
money
make
coming in one
sense.
go.
No, you can't. Yeah, and it has to be practical, and it
Yeah.
has to make logical sense, and all those things. And then I used to wonder, then how people invent if everything has to be so logical? How will
Yeah.
anybody invent and discover something? So to shift from that mindset and nervous system, it took me a lot of grieving, a
Hmm.
lot of acceptance, that okay, that was my old version. Now I'm ready to step up to this new version. I'm ready
Yeah.
to open up to
Yeah.
receive. And the second reason, which like my motivation, I would like to share my motivation behind it, because I really wanted to create a space where people can believe that this work can be taken up as a business, can be taken up as a life, and it's not just something that is a sideline for you.
Hustle,
And
side hustle.
trauma, yeah, it's not a side hustle exactly,
Yeah.
because trauma work is a very core work.
Mm,
And if we do it in our business, if we do it in our life, it will involve a lot of grieving.
mm.
And otherwise we will end up always thinking, where will I get it from? Because it will not make sense to the old methods that you adopted. It will
Absolutely.
not
Like,
make
how
sense
can
to
you
that
get that
brain.
kind of, how can you get that kind of success, achievement, or the client or the money using the same methods that you used in, or the ways that you used, in the past, right? So until you're willing to
Yeah,
experiment, it's not going to happen, right?
yeah, yeah. I'm losing you for 1 second, okay?
Okay. 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 We are holding on. No worries.
Just a second. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I'll just should I change my network or was it yours? Just a second.
I guess mine is okay. I'm able to hear you, listen to you.
Your voice is breaking for me. Just a second.
Okay, go ahead. So our audience will get it. We are having a network issue, so nothing to worry about. We'll give a few more minutes and then we will move on.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
good.
I
We are back.
changed it. Yeah.
Great. We are
Thank
back.
you.
Okay, so I also want to ask you, Shruti, that what were your like predominant thoughts and feelings, mostly thoughts, when you were actually quoting the 9 lakhs to the client? Did
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
like any predominant thought during that point of time?
So I did not even know that I'm going to quote this offer before the call.
That's important. That's important, actually. Yeah. Yeah.
I did not know. I was meeting the client and I was first trying to understand their space and what can I actually offer? Like, what do I have and what can I offer? So, to
Mm,
understand that, I had to keep a very open mind,
mm,
and I did not create any offer before the call. It
yeah.
was after the whole consultation, I took a
Mm,
pause.
mm,
I took a pause and I told my client to give me 2 to 3 minutes. And I paused and I literally allowed the offer to just come out from me. And I created it and I wrote it in front, like, I shared the screen and I was writing parallelly while my client is looking at it. So, that pause was really, really helpful. And that
mm.
was my belief that whatever has to come will come and it will be good for both of us, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Because you slowed
So,
down, so the information also started pouring into you, and you could like bring that information out. And I'm assuming that it also takes a lot of courage to put that, as you said, parallelly, I was putting it out for my client and myself, right? It does take a lot of courage to do that,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah. I could not do that before, I was always having a pre-offer in my head,
Yeah.
and that used to actually reduce my frequency. It used to reduce my receptivity. And this time when I had no thinking behind it, and I was like, I'm going to serve, I'm going to see what I can offer. And
Yeah.
whatever has to, cook up will get cooked up in the end.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And at the end, all these basic things work. Like I always tell people that you have to be in the energy of service and you have to be willing to give value to people while you are serving them. That is finally going to work. Like not your marketing, not your content, not your like exceptional hooks that you create. Um, you know, I don't want to make fun of anyone, but it's just that when people get so fixated with what is the color that I use in my reels, what is the color that my brand should be, which app should I download so that my captions start flashing in my reels, I don't care about any of that because I know that's never going to make the money. That's never, ever going to make the money. I mean, unless you're selling some flashy product, right? Like a skincare product, or maybe you are selling collagen powder, or you might be selling, artificial flowers or home decor. Then it's a very different scenario. Like there is an aesthetic element to it. I don't think that works here, especially when we are talking about being in India. And there is well, in India, people really, really, really look at value than the cosmetic part of it,
Yeah.
So that brings us to, Shruti, like I know that when you were making that offer, we were like discussing actively about it, and then you had made it, and the client also expressed if they could pay you in parts and EMI and all of that. We'll go to that part later. But then I remember like you and I getting on a call at 12 in the night, and then I was coaching you on how to tell the client why they should pay in full and all of that, right? Now I don't want to go there, but I want to ask you, Shruti, a lot of people want to solve their problem on their own, right? Including me. And we cannot solve our problems by ourselves, because when we are in the middle of an experience, we are caught in the soup. We need someone to pull us out of the soup and show us that, see, this is how it looks like, right? And that's what coaching does to us, right? So how did that midnight coaching for you work in converting this offer?
So even I went into that loop, where I was like, should I ask? Should I not ask? Should I just keep it with me for now? And I almost already got attached to it, because it is because of that attachment. We don't want to include anyone. We don't want to ask or seek help from anyone, because that's the attachment language.
True.
It's like the moment the message came for me that I'm willing to do the work, and I think I'm going to pay in parts. And there was again a sentence where the client expressed that why they are doing this, why this feels right to them. And the moment I saw the message, something didn't feel right to me, and I was like, no, this will kind of tamper the process somehow. And we need to be at 100% commitment here. And I still didn't know how to navigate through it very clearly, and I started writing about it. And I was at the end of the evening, I felt like, why am I feeling so alone? I can discuss it with Gaurav. I can just leave him a text. Why do I feel I cannot share? So I saw in that moment that I already became attached. And sometimes it is your client's energy, sometimes it is your own belief that you tap into. And that attachment has to come out. Like we need to grow from there, and we need to be willing to embody our fears and seek help from people. And the moment I co-regulated with you, Gaurav, and we spoke, like I shared my views with you and you shared your views, and I was in a state of back to where I was, and I could feel that strength.
Like holding your ground once again. Like after the coaching, you go back to like ground one.
So for me it worked as a grounding thing, very strong grounding thing when I spoke with you. And most of us, we don't talk and we miss on that part. Like I would really want to make it out very clear to all coaches that if you are going through, if you're in between a sale, if you're going through some questions, please voice out. Please, seek guidance. And this is also for the people who are looking for the work. Like, people become so attached in their cocoon. They're like, if I say this, what will happen? As if something bad will happen, as if the sale will be jinxed or something.
Right.
And and I was like, how can it be jinxed if I'm getting guidance from Gaurav? I was going into that thinking myself, by the way,
I get it.
And then I could just see that these are my thoughts, these are not my thoughts, and I need to let it go. And I could speak to you. So I mean, this is a very valid problem. and it needs to be given out like a message that people should not think they're alone.
It happens to everyone. It happens to me. When it happens to me, I do reach out to my coach as well. And that's the whole thing, that human brain is obsessive by nature. When it desires something, it really wants to find out how to get there, and it's very difficult to let go of that, which is why we need another voice, another viewpoint, right? Someone to just take that brain away from that object of desire and show what other things are, possible, right?
Yeah.
So my almost last question to you was about this, Shruti, I know that you've been in business for some time, and people have paid you in parts and EMIs. Even when people want to come to ATEPS, when they want to buy ATEPS from us, they always ask if there are EMI options, if there's a part payment option that I can give them. I tell them that yes, there is an EMI option. You just have to pay interest, and you can avail it through credit cards. And credit card is a whole another story. I think I'll take that as a different podcast altogether some other day. But my point is, I always tell people that, it's good to pay in parts, but if you can pay in full, what's going to happen is you will never worry about the next part that you are going to pay, which is why your full attention is going to be in the program, right? So, and you communicated that to your client to pay an amount like 9 lakhs, which is 11,000 US dollars, to pay in one single go, right? What are your thoughts on paying full?
Yeah. So I have had experience in my business for last 3 years where I have given, a lot of flexibility, like pay as you can or pay whenever convenient to you, not even EMI. Like I've given very, very lucrative, flexible options. And why I could understand that this is important to pay in full is because of what I have gone through, because of these payment parts and, flexibility options. And I could see how the commitment shifts when you pay in full. And it is just a leap. I could see it as a leap. And when I was ready to take that leap, Gaurav, I was not ready to take that leap before, like 2 years ago. And I was still doubting probably my value. And this time, in last 6 months, I've had these lessons where I could create that space in my nervous system, and I could feel that I want this kind of commitment because I am committing at this level. So there has to be a balance. And if I am going to commit it at this level, I'm going to coach my client. I'm going to make them see the value of this leap.
Yeah.
How this leap is going to serve them, and how that is going to enhance our process of working together. Just by making that one leap of faith, that choice, the whole journey, it's at a leap right from the beginning.
Yeah.
There are no preoccupations, there are no threads with EMIs and everything, and it's all focused.
Yes.
So I could see it myself, and only then I was able to even show it to my client. And that is how I'm getting at, this balance now, where I am able to commit when I'm receiving that commitment.
Yes, it's so true. We have to make that leap first. So, because if we haven't made that leap, if we are not convinced ourselves of making that leap and taking an action like that, then we would never be able to. I don't like the word convince, because I don't feel that I have to convince anyone. I always feel that if someone desires anything from me, what I'm offering, then they're already convinced, right? But to help them see the point that they should pay in full, I myself should be believing in it and be sold out, and have done such actions in the past where I have paid in full and went in, only then I'll be able to show the client that, see, this is why it's going to work. This is why it's going to be 100% commitment, right? So that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So that brings us to the end of today's episode, Shruti, and I just cannot tell you how elated I am doing this episode for the people to know that something like this is possible. Something like this is possible in India. Something like this is possible sitting in Delhi. Something like this is possible through a Zoom call. Like people have all kinds of notions about, oh, this kind of money is only possible in Western countries, and we will never have such clients in India, or, all kinds of, notions about it. And I think this episode is going to give them so much of value and so much of inspiration, to show up in their most powerful version. So Shruti, tell us, where can people find you, number one, and tell us about what your current offers are so that people can avail them.
Okay, so people can find me on Instagram. My Insta handle is Brain Alignment Hours, and
We'll
they can
put that in the
also,
show notes. Brain Alignment Hours, yes.
yeah. So that's the number one place. They can also find me on WhatsApp. Like I almost share my WhatsApp contact in every post, in every story. So they can also reach me out on WhatsApp. And I also have the same email ID, which is brainalignmenthours@gmail.com. So they can reach
Yeah.
me out on email as well.
Okay.
So these are my primary, communication channels right now. And my current offers include two offers mainly. One is where I work 1:1 with
One-on-one.
clients. Yeah. And I don't have any set structure for that. I meet on a consult, and depending on the requirement and what I can offer, I create the offer.
Amazing.
And sometimes I also meet for two consult calls. Like it's not necessary to meet for one. Like even this client, I met this client once before, and then I met again, by
Right.
the way.
Right. Yeah.
So there's no standard rule, and I'm going to meet and connect, and I'm going to see if I can, if they need something that I have, and if we can work together. So it's very organic.
Yeah.
So that is my one offer, which is 1:1, and I have few clients for 1 year because I take long-term commitments. And apart from that, I have another offer, which is like a very personal and close to my heart offer, which is Marriage School, and it's for Indian
Marriage
married
school.
women. Yeah, it's for Indian married women, and you can find some details on Instagram. You can also ping me if you want to know more about it. It is simply for the empowerment and expansion of married women who get stuck in the patriarchal beliefs, and in fact they get so stuck that they start believing that they are these people, and there's so much scope to break through. So it's mainly for empowering and expanding women like me. Like I got into this whole journey after my marriage, and I feel it's really important for us to do the trauma work if we want to live an abundant life. Yeah. So that's for married women.
Indian and otherwise non-Indian married women, please take note, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Shruti, I think this was truly a brilliant episode, and thank you once again for coming to this episode and enlightening us. Okay. Thank you. So guys, I'm going to meet you next week then. See you soon. Bye-bye.